Behavioral change specialist Johanse Ayodike joins me now for Mental Health Matters Thursday, and today's topic, it's a very interesting one. We beg to ask the question, what's the new normal? This whole concept of the new normal. So let me pose that to Johanse immediately, and of course, firstly, good morning, great to see you. We survived the carnival, Johanse. We are here in one piece.
We here. I'm gonna shake your hand for that.
Yeah, boy, yeah, right? Boy. It was pace, you know, Johanse. Ooh. It was pace, but I survived.
Right. And the mere fact that you survive, right, it don't make sense trying to go back to how it was before. I saw many people on the status, many people saying, well, back to regularly scheduled program. And I beg to differ because the past no longer exists. When certain things happen in our lives, actually everyday activities, you know, they're saying we learn something new every day. And all of us, even though we go through a routine, we learn something new. And we're supposed to take that knowledge and become better or apply it to everyday life. But many times we want to go back to how things were. So that's a regular life. Now, when we have a disruption in our routine, that usually has a more significant imprint on who we are. And Carnival, that period was a disruption in our routine, whether you participate in the festivities, you stay home and sleep, you went to church camp, etc. So that has a disruption. So now you should use this disruption, right, to now become better, not go back to how things were.
Is all that part of the new normal in terms of that particular theme and concept? Because we hear that term being used all the time so loosely. It's the new normal. We're into the new normal. What really is the new normal?
The new normal is using the lessons from the past to apply to the future so you could be better. Because some people say they want to go back to normal. This is after Carnival. And I ask them, you enjoy your life before Carnival? Some people say, nah, boy. Right? I didn't really like the job I didn't like the routine I had. And that period over the Carnival period helped me understand how I really want to live life. And I could even give a personal example. I realized I wasn't getting enough sleep. I rarely sleep over the weekend and realized, wait, now I thought my routine was healthy, but after taking that time, I realized I need more sleep.
You know, that was a term being used a lot when people kind of made that pivot out of the COVID scenario.
Right.
You know, people saying this is the new normal and all the different protocols and routines and rules that were in place. I don't really hear it being used as much as before, but that new normal became a mantra, like a road march, as it were. Everybody was saying, hey, it's a new normal, you know, in terms of the washing of the hands and all the different I guess the protocols that were in place that clearly are far removed now. I mean, when last you see any sink outside a business place and you're required to sanitize and all that, we have come right back to how things were before that new normal that people suggested was going to be the trend. And I knew it was going to sustain itself, you know. I knew it.
Change is inevitable, and yet we still always fighting to be the same. Every year, yes, we know January, February, March, we know how things are supposed to go, and we try to keep things the same all the time. But sometimes that causes us unhappiness or to be unfulfilled because we're still holding on to something that may not exist instead of evolving and improving.
I mean, the thing is, people hold on because, you know, there's always this trend and this concept that the golden days, the olden days, well, the old days are the golden days. You know, that's the days where they had a certain respectability and a foundation and the family structure, and people tend to, every generation, so even the generation now would look at look at their days as glory days when, in truth and in fact, people prior to our generation, right? So again, I just use an example of, let's say, our parents would say their generation was a great generation, and we'll look at our generation as kind of wild. Then we would say our generation was a great one.
Right.
So the youngsters now, the outer order.
Right.
So you find so many people kind of looking to the past for clarity. And I always say, you know, it's important to understand the past. It kind of sets the tone for the present and gives you a kind of direction going forward. But everybody believes that their time was the best time. Ultimately.
And that's fine, you know, and that's what the new normal is about, because people want the old normal. The new normal is let's take things from the past and apply to the future, because of course, my parents' time is not this time. There are different socioeconomic elements. Technology has changed. Many different things have changed, so it cannot be exactly the same. But there were good things to take from my parents. There are good things to take from my generation and good things to take from the new generation. And the key is, if we change that mindset, we're able to pull things together. Just like what happened in January, right, before Carnival, right? That's how your life was, but Carnival happened. You had some time to reflect, you had some time to express yourself, you had some time to understand yourself or your children or your family better, and now apply this to the rest of the year moving forward.
Does the new normal, in a way, when we consider a lot of things that are normalized now, that's commonplace, that would not sit well with our grandparents and parents, is it sometimes this new normal, this concept, is it going too far? Is it that we have lost a certain foundation with this new normal?
That's an interesting question, because sometimes we have to lose something to gain something. Sometimes we have to dismantle something to get something new. If the country is run a certain way and realize it's not working, it has to be dismantled and something new built. If you realize your family wasn't working, your family structure wasn't working, dismantle and build something new, your business, and even yourself, especially yourself. Because many of us sometimes delude ourselves into thinking that everything all right, but we really have to dismantle our old self. That self who you was 5 years ago, they're still trying to hold on to and build something new.
And I would imagine, let's look at it from the personal side. To do that self-analysis, to dismantle, to build, to break down, to build up, I would imagine one would have to seek some kind of professional. Could you do it on your own, or you advise that someone needs that guidance for that restructuring and rebuilding of self?
I think it's a holistic approach, because seeking a professional will assist you, because you're getting a different point of view, you're getting different training, a different specialization, but also do your self-introspection. Because even if you see a professional like myself, you would see them once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month. You are still left with you. You are still left with the work and the self-work. And I just given that example, even in my practice, I give people homework to do. So you always have something to do along the way. Just like even outside of the homework, you have work to do on becoming a better version of yourself.
Johan, we're looking to wrap things up. We have about 15 seconds before we take that break. What's your final say?
Final say is, even though you want things to stay the same, change is inevitable. Don't try to hold on to the past and make your life complicated. Because even though life is not easy, it's really not that hard. Thanks for listening.
Johan IRDK, touching base on the new normal inside our Mental Health Matters Thursday. Let's take a break. We come back.